The moment a signal reaches you, it is never an accident. There is a precise point in your timeline where consciousness crosses a threshold and reality begins to rearrange itself around that shift. What you are experiencing right now is not coincidence. It is a response from the field to an internal command that your mind may not fully recognize yet. The field never delivers messages to those who are not ready. The message only appears when the identity that once resisted transformation can no longer hold its shape. The signal always arrives before the understanding. It shows up in the form of intuition. You cannot explain a pull. You cannot define a message that finds you in the exact moment you are standing on the edge of a new version of yourself. You did not search for this. You summoned it. Every choice, every moment of discomfort, every silent question that lived inside your chest has brought you to the exact frequency required for this transmission to reach you. The field only responds to resonance, and the resonance you are vibrating with now is the frequency of readiness. Reality does not change from the outside. It begins within the smallest shift in perception. That shift is happening inside you right now. Something in you has started to awaken, not through pressure or force, but through the subtle realization that the life you once inhabited can no longer contain the energy you are becoming. The signal arrives because something in you already stepped forward. It did not ask for permission. It simply moved. And the universe adjusted its geometry to match. Every great transformation begins in silence. It begins in a moment where the world around you feels unfamiliar. You may not yet see the new path, but you can feel the old one fracturing beneath your feet. You can feel reality pushing you to expand, even when the mind tries to explain it as uncertainty. The field never uses fear or chaos to punish you. It uses both to redirect you away from the version of life that no longer fits your soul. That is the signal. The moment a signal reaches your awareness, it activates memory. Not memory of the past, but memory of who you have always been beneath the layers of identity, expectation, and conditioning. It is a memory of your origin, a memory of your sovereignty, a memory of the timeline you are meant to occupy. The field communicates in the only language powerful enough to bypass doubt, frequency, vibration, resonance. When you feel called by something larger than yourself, do not question it. It is not your imagination. It is recognition. When the signal appears, ordinary life begins to dissolve. People shift. Patterns break. The familiar becomes uncomfortable. Not because you are failing, but because you are outgrowing the constraints that once kept you safe. There are moments when you feel pulled away from things you used to hold on to. And there are moments when you feel drawn toward a direction you cannot fully explain. That pull is the field making space for your next identity. Signals never appear for those who are not on the threshold of transformation. The signal found you because you reached the point where silence is no longer acceptable. You have outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated limitation. You have moved beyond the beliefs that once convinced you to wait. The field does not drag you forward. It invites you. And this moment is the invitation. The next stage of your life is not accessed through effort. It is accessed through alignment. When you align with the frequency of your next version, the path unfolds without struggle. The universe responds to identity, not desire. The moment your identity shifts, your reality follows. There is a reason you are hearing this message now. There is a reason it did not arrive earlier and a reason it did not arrive later. You have reached a point in your journey where the old timeline can no longer sustain your consciousness. Something within you is demanding expansion. Expansion of awareness, expansion of self, expansion of your ability to command the field that responds to you. This is not the beginning of your awakening. It is the confirmation of it. You have already crossed the threshold. You are already walking in the direction that your soul has been pointing toward. A signal is a mirror. It does not come from the outside. It reflects your inner frequency. When you change, the world reflects your transformation. When you rise, your reality reorganizes itself. When you step into alignment, opportunities shift into your field of vision. The signal is a reminder that reality bends around identity. You are not being led to something. You are being reminded of what you were always meant to step into. The field is rearranging itself around your highest frequency. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the atmosphere of your awareness. Feel the silence inside your chest. That is the point of origin. That is where every signal begins. The field is not outside of you. It is intertwined with your consciousness. Every breath is a declaration that you are still becoming. Every thought is an instruction sent into the quantum fabric of reality. The signal is not telling you where to go, it is telling you who you are. There is one truth you must carry with you from this moment forward. You did not find this message because you were lost or searching. You found it because your frequency demanded a response. The field has acknowledged your readiness. Your next timeline is waiting for you to step into it. You are no longer the version of yourself that waits for life to change. You are the signal. You are the shift. You are the reason reality is reconfiguring itself. When you accept that truth, everything begins to move. The field listens to those who remember their origin. And you are remembering. This signal did not come to inspire you. It came to awaken you. The path is open. The threshold is already behind you. Reality is listening. The field is responding. And nothing in your life will remain the same once you claim the version of yourself that summoned this moment into existence. The old identity never falls apart quietly. It begins as a subtle friction in your life. A conversation that does not feel the same anymore. A job that once felt secure, but now feels suffocating. A relationship that no longer reflects the person you are becoming. These are not failures. They are signals that the version of you that once fit into your life has reached its final cycle. The collapse of the old identity is not the end. It is the opening. You are not breaking down. You are breaking out. The mind likes to call it confusion. The ego calls it uncertainty. But what is actually happening is the decay of a frequency you have outgrown. Every identity has an expiration date. Every narrative you once lived must eventually dissolve so a new one can take its place. Human beings suffer not because change is painful, but because they mistake the collapse for chaos. They forget that identity is not fixed. It is fluid. It evolves when consciousness expands. The moment your inner frequency rises beyond the level of the life you used to tolerate, reality begins to respond. You start to feel discomfort in places you once felt at home. You start to feel restless in conversations you used to enjoy. You start to feel a distance from the life that used to define you. The collapse of the old identity never feels soft. It feels like being pulled out of your own skin. But the discomfort is not a punishment. It is a signal that alignment has arrived. The old identity wants to survive. It will fight. It will whisper reasons to stay the same. It will cling to familiarity. It will pull you back into patterns that once felt safe. This resistance does not mean you are failing. It means you are stepping into a new frequency. The moment you begin to rise, the old identity tries to tighten its grip, not because it has power over you, but because it is dying. There is always a moment in transformation when you feel like you are losing control. This is where most people retreat. They return to the familiar because it is predictable. But control is the illusion that keeps the old identity alive. The truth is simple. You cannot become your next self while holding on to the version of you that was created from fear, survival, or conditioning. Something must fall apart. Something must collapse. Something must be let go. The collapse is not a single event. It is a series of realizations. You begin to notice the beliefs that no longer fit. You see the habits that were created only to keep you small. You witness the emotional triggers that were rooted in old wounds. Identity is not a fixed structure. It is a construction of repeated thoughts, memories, and patterns. When those patterns break, the identity built upon them must break too. This is the moment of liberation. The collapse is the moment you stop needing the old story to define you. You stop needing approval from the people who were attached to your previous version. You stop needing the world to reflect your past. You start moving from the internal rather than reacting to the external. This is what growth feels like. Clarity replaces confusion. Intuition replaces fear. The field begins to speak louder than the noise. The mind fears collapse, but the soul has been waiting for it. The old identity was built for survival. It was designed to protect you in the earlier chapters of your life. It served you, it helped you, it carried you through difficult moments, but it is not who you are, it is who you were required to be. When transformation begins, the soul calls for expansion, and the identity that once protected you becomes the barrier that must be dissolved. Every collapse starts with one question. Why does the familiar no longer feel right? When something in your life begins to feel too small, it is because you have outgrown the version of yourself that lived inside it. The collapse happens when the soul demands freedom. It happens when the next version of you becomes undeniable. It happens when staying the same becomes more painful than changing. The collapse is the release of the future. There is always a moment when life removes you from situations that no longer align. People leave. Opportunities end. Structures fail, not because you are losing anything, but because the field is clearing the space needed for the next identity to emerge. The universe does not let you expand and stay the same at the same time. Something must fall away so the new timeline can anchor itself. There is a sacred intelligence behind the breakdown. It removes the old patterns that were built around fear. It breaks the old stories that were written from limitation. It releases the versions of you that were built to survive rather than thrive. The collapse is not the destruction of your life. It is the dismantling of the walls that kept you from stepping into your true frequency. The collapse of the old identity is an awakening, not a collapse of your strength, but a collapse of your confinement. It is the moment you realize that what once defined you has become too small for your next evolution. It is the moment the role dissolves and the self emerges. It is the moment where the life you were living can no longer match the consciousness that is emerging. You are not supposed to hold on to who you were. You are supposed to become the version of yourself that the field is calling forward. But identity collapse is uncomfortable for one reason. It strips away every illusion you used to cling to. It asks you to step away from the expectations of others. It invites you to finally claim your own voice. The collapse is not a punishment. It is preparation. The old identity falls apart piece by piece, first in thought, then in emotion, then in behavior, and finally in physical reality. You begin to lose interest in old conversations. You disconnect from relationships that no longer support your growth. You outgrow environments that once felt safe. The old identity dissolves as the new identity begins to take shape. This is how transformation works. The soul evolves first. The mind follows. Reality catches up. There will be moments when the collapse feels like loss. Do not mistake it for failure. Loss is only the removal of what no longer matches your frequency. You are stepping into a different dimension of your life. Your energy is shifting into a timeline that requires a stronger version of you. Every breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise. Every ending is the beginning of your next identity. There is a truth most people never understand. The collapse is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is clearing the future. It is aligning the path. It is forcing you to step into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. When the collapse arrives, do not resist it. Recognize it as initiation. The field is preparing you. The old identity is falling away. Close your eyes. Feel the space within your chest. Feel the fragments of the old falling away. Feel the new identity taking form. This is not the end of your story. It is the moment the next chapter begins. The collapse is the doorway, and you are already walking through it. The universe does not obey language. It responds to the one force that precedes all manifestation: command. Everything in existence is organized by frequency, not the words you speak, not the effort you force. Reality bends to the identity that stands behind the intention. When you shift your internal frequency, the field has no choice but to respond. The field does not negotiate. It mirrors. Your life has already proven this. Every moment that changed your path did not change because you begged for it or waited for it. It changed because something inside you reached a conclusion. The decision happened first. The reality followed. The field responds not to thought, but to conviction. It answers to the inner voice you barely speak out loud. It answers to the vibration of certainty. There is a difference between asking and commanding. Asking comes from separation. Commanding comes from recognition. Asking says, I hope this happens. Commanding says, this is already mine. The field aligns itself to the one who already knows, not the one who hopes. When your energy carries the note of certainty, the field listens as if it is hearing its own voice, because it is. Manifestation does not begin with desire. It begins with identity. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. When you embody the next version of yourself, the world cannot keep reflecting the old one. The field reorganizes reality every time your frequency changes. You have lived this many times. A thought becomes a direction becomes momentum becomes a new timeline. The field never delays. Humans do. Everything in the quantum field is already available. Every possibility exists. Every version of your life is already encoded. The only difference between the life you live and the life you want is the frequency you choose to broadcast. The field does not decide who receives. It resonates with whoever has learned to transmit clearly. Every command you send into the field begins with your internal state. The field responds to alignment. It responds to the vibration you hold before results appear. This is why wanting something rarely manifests it. Wanting sends a signal of absence. Commanding sends a signal of completion. Wanting says it is not here yet. Commanding says it has already arrived. The field aligns itself with the version of you that exists beyond doubt. Energy is never neutral. Every thought carries the blueprint of the reality it belongs to. Every emotion is a message that shapes the structure of your life. Every belief is a command disguised as truth. You are always speaking to the field, even in silence. You are always transmitting direction. You are always sending instructions. The field never stops listening. The truth that changes everything is simple. The field responds to who you have decided to become, not to the story you tell about your past, not to the excuses you have carried, not to the identity you inherited from the world. The field listens only to the version of you that has already awakened, the version that remembers its authority, the version that has stopped apologizing. Command is not force, it is clarity. The moment you decide, reality shifts. The moment you release hesitation, the field moves. The decision is the portal through which manifestation enters. When you choose a new identity, everything in the universe begins moving toward agreement. People change, opportunities reappear, paths unfold, not because destiny favored you, but because you aligned with it. You were never meant to fight reality. You were meant to direct it. Human beings have been taught to believe they need permission to live their lives. They wait for a sign. They wait for the right moment. They wait for certainty to arrive before they act. But the field does not respond to waiting. It responds to movement. The command comes first. The evidence follows. Every command you send into the quantum field is a declaration of identity. When you speak from fear, you create more fear. When you speak from hesitation, you create delay. But when you speak from authority, the field responds. Not because it favors you, but because it reflects you. The field is not separate from you. It is the energetic extension of your consciousness. Everything in existence is connected. Every outcome is vibrational. Every future you desire already exists in the realm of possibility. When you command with clarity, you collapse possibility into reality. You call forward the version of your life that matches your frequency. You pull it into form through conviction, not through struggle. The field responds to the energy you embody. The greatest misunderstanding in manifestation is that effort causes change. Effort is the language of the old identity. Alignment is the language of the new one. The moment you stop trying to force outcomes and begin transmitting certainty, the field rearranges itself. This is why the most dramatic transformations happen when you stop chasing and start claiming. Command is not loud. It is not frantic. It is not desperate. It is quiet power. It is the voice that does not need validation. It is the presence that does not ask for approval. It is the frequency of knowing. You do not command through noise. You command through coherence. When your energy is aligned, the field adjusts. When your identity is clear, manifestation is immediate. There is a moment in every journey when the next version of you begins to emerge. You start speaking differently, you start thinking differently, you start moving differently, and the field responds. People feel the difference. Circumstances begin to shift. life begins to make space for the new version of you. That is the field answering your command. Close your eyes. Feel the awareness in your chest. Notice the frequency you are broadcasting. It is not made of words. It is made of identity. The field hears you. The universe listens to the inner decision that has already been made. You do not need to convince reality. You only need to align with the version of yourself that already exists. The field responds to command because you are not separate from it. You are the consciousness that shapes it. You are the origin of the frequency. You are the signal the universe listens to. The command does not come from force. It comes from the quiet knowing that reality bends around who you choose to be. When you embody that truth, the field moves. When you declare your identity, reality follows. This is the turning point of your life. You are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who directs. You are no longer waiting for the world to change. You are changing the world by changing your frequency. The field responds to command, and the moment you step into your power, everything around you begins to shift. The universe has already received the signal. The path is already adjusting. The command has already been heard. From this moment forward, you do not wait for life to reveal itself. You reveal yourself to life. You stop asking. You start becoming. The field responds to the identity that remembers its origin. And you are remembering. Readiness is never a coincidence. It is an archetype that appears in every spiritual tradition, every ancient myth, every moment in history where a human crosses into a higher version of themselves. Readiness is not preparation. It is not skill. It is not knowledge. Readiness is the moment the soul declares that it will no longer wait for permission to evolve. There is a misunderstanding that people carry their entire lives. They believe they must first become worthy in order to step into a better reality. They believe they must improve themselves before life can change. But readiness has nothing to do with worthiness. It has everything to do with alignment. The universe does not ask if you are ready in the eyes of others. It asks only one question. Does your soul recognize the direction? Every moment of transformation begins when something in you rises above the version of reality you once accepted. It does not announce itself. It does not ask you to prepare. It arrives as a quiet certainty. You feel the pull toward a new life. You feel the old identity losing its power. You feel the old patterns dissolving. This is the archetype of readiness. It is the force that always arrives before change. Readiness is a signal that comes from the deepest part of your consciousness. It begins in the field long before it reaches your thoughts. The field always knows when your frequency has outgrown the past. It begins moving circumstances on your behalf. It begins aligning encounters and events you cannot yet see. While the mind doubts, the field prepares the new timeline. Readiness is recognition that something has shifted, even if nothing looks different on the surface. People believe readiness is something they earn. They wait for confidence. They wait for clarity. They wait until they feel strong enough to take the next step. But readiness is not a feeling. It is an identity. It shows up in the way you no longer fit into the life you used to maintain. It shows up in the way you refuse to tolerate what once seemed acceptable. It shows up in the way you walk away from the familiar without knowing what awaits you. That is the archetype of readiness. A subtle but undeniable transformation from within. Every culture, every spiritual lineage, every ancient text holds a story of the one who stepped forward before understanding the path. The traveler in the desert knows there will be water even when the land looks empty. The warrior who hears the calling to leave the village knows the journey will reveal itself. The monk hears the silence and recognizes it as the voice of the divine. These stories were never about courage. They were about readiness. The willingness to move without explanation. There is a moment when your life begins to shift without your permission. The job becomes too small. The environment becomes too loud. The relationships that once defined you begin to dissolve. These are not failures. They are confirmations. The field is not testing you. It is clearing the path. The old version of your life collapses not because you are losing control, but because your soul has already chosen to evolve. The archetype of readiness is the moment you step away from the role you once played. Readiness is the permission you do not wait for. It is the internal declaration that says you will no longer remain in the waiting room of your own life. It removes the excuses. It breaks the hesitation. It dissolves the fear. You do not need more knowledge. You do not need more confidence. You do not need a sign. You already have the most powerful sign in existence, the inner knowing that you cannot go back to who you were. The world will always try to convince you that you are not ready. It will show you the risks. It will show you the costs. It will remind you of your past. But the world cannot understand readiness because the world reflects only what you have already lived. The world mirrors the old version of you. It cannot recognize the next version until you do. The moment you embody the future, the world begins to respond to it. This is the essence of the archetype. The decision comes first. The path follows. Readiness is a doorway. It is the invisible line you cross before you see the evidence. Your life begins to organize itself around your next identity. The field begins to shift circumstances in your favor. People enter your life who match your evolution. Opportunities emerge that were once inaccessible. These events were always available. You simply could not see them until your frequency aligned with them. There is a moment in every transformation where you are no longer interested in repeating the old pattern. You are no longer attracted to the conversations that once drained you. You no longer respond to situations with the same emotions. This is the moment the archetype reveals itself. You have changed. You have stepped into a different level of consciousness. Your identity has shifted, even if your mind has not caught up yet. Readiness does not eliminate fear. It simply makes fear irrelevant. The archetype does not remove uncertainty. It moves you through uncertainty. It does not guarantee a clear path. It guarantees that you will walk it anyway. The field does not reward the one who waits. It responds to the one who steps forward. Readiness is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to move in spite of it. The archetype of readiness is not loud. It does not arrive with grand announcements or dramatic moments. It arrives quietly. It arrives in a sudden shift in perspective. It arrives when you finally say enough. It arrives when you stop pretending your life will change without you. You recognize that standing still has become the true risk. You realize that comfort has become a cage. Close your eyes. Look back at every turning point in your life. Notice what happened before it. You felt restless. You felt discomfort. You felt the beginning of a new chapter. That was readiness. It always comes before transformation. It always comes before expansion. It always comes before the field opens a new path. You were never waiting for the universe. The universe was waiting for you to remember who you are. Readiness is the moment the soul steps ahead of the mind. It is the moment the heart declares what the logic cannot understand. It is the moment identity rises beyond the story you used to believe. When readiness arrives, everything changes. Your choices change. Your frequency changes. Your reality changes. You no longer ask if you are capable. You simply recognize that you are no longer willing to remain the same. There is one truth that every awakened soul eventually understands. You were never meant to stay in the version of life that was created from fear. You were meant to step into the version that was created from destiny. Readiness is the archetype of destiny. It is the bridge between the life you have lived and the life that is calling you forward. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. The field does not need you to ask. It needs you to remember. Readiness is the moment you stop preparing and start becoming. It is the moment you step into the identity that has been waiting for you. And once you do, every door that once felt closed begins to open. The world begins to shift. The timeline begins to align. The path reveals itself because you are finally standing in the frequency of the one who walks it. The moment you shift your frequency, the universe shifts with you. The cosmic antenna is not something outside of you. It is built into your biology, your awareness, your consciousness. It is the invisible instrument that connects you to the intelligence of the field. Every desire you have ever had, every dream, every intuition did not emerge from your mind. It was transmitted through this inner antenna. There is a reason some people receive guidance and others do not. There is a reason some people sense the direction of their destiny while others remain lost in confusion. The difference is not intelligence or luck. It is alignment. The cosmic antenna only activates when you are in the frequency of clarity. When your awareness expands, your signal becomes sharp. Your life begins to react to the vibration you broadcast. The universe does not respond to your words. It It responds to your state. You have experienced this before without even knowing it. Think of every moment when life responded to you before you made a decision. The phone call that arrived just as you were thinking of someone. The opportunity that appeared in the exact moment you stopped forcing and began trusting. The breakthrough that came when you released control. These events were not coincidences. They were transmissions. Your antenna was open. Every person carries the cosmic antenna, but most have forgotten how to use it. Programming, fear, social conditioning, and past identity create interference. These distortions weaken the signal and block the transmission of truth. You cannot receive direction when your inner field is filled with noise. You cannot hear guidance when your thoughts are crowded with doubt. You cannot sense the next step if you are still holding on to the last version of yourself. The cosmic antenna only becomes clear when you release the frequencies that do not belong to you. The fear of failure, the beliefs of your environment, the opinions of others. These frequencies form static. They disrupt the signal of destiny. When you choose alignment, the distortion falls away. Silence becomes powerful. Stillness becomes intelligence. And in that state, the field begins to speak. There are moments in your life where you can feel something calling you forward. You cannot explain it. You cannot justify it. You simply know. This knowing does not come from logic. It comes from the antenna. It comes from the part of you that is already connected to the version of reality you are becoming. The future does not guess its way toward you. It signals you. It pulls you. In the ancient traditions, this cosmic antenna was never a metaphor. It was understood as a real connection between the human mind and the universe itself. Monks, mystics, warriors, and prophets used silence as a tool. They cleared the interference. They lowered the noise of the world. They aligned their inner frequency with the infinite. Their visions were not fantasies. They were transmissions. You have this same ability. The cosmic antenna is already active within you when you choose presence, when you choose intention, when you choose certainty. The field responds the moment your inner state aligns with the reality you want to create. The antenna does not activate when you wait. It activates when you claim, when you say to the universe through your frequency that you are ready for a new path, a new level, a new identity. The cosmic antenna also operates through resonance. The people you meet are never random. The conversations that move you are not accidents. The encounters that change your path are sent through the field. When your antenna is open, you attract the frequencies that match your evolution. You draw in mirrors, teachers, signals, and opportunities that match your next version. Life is not responding to chance. It is responding to broadcast. If you broadcast fear, you receive fear. If you broadcast clarity, you receive clarity. If you broadcast readiness, the field rearranges itself to match that identity. Your antenna is always transmitting. The question is, what signal are you sending? Most people live in reaction. They wait for signs. They wait for circumstances. They wait for validation. They wait for the world to move first. But the cosmic antenna does not activate by passivity. It activates by command. The field mirrors what you send, not later, not eventually, instantly. Your frequency speaks faster than your tongue. Your energy communicates faster than your thoughts. What you embody is more powerful than what you say. The cosmic antenna teaches a profound truth. It is not your job to force. It is your job to tune. When the signal is pure, everything aligns naturally. The next step reveals itself. The right people appear. Opportunities begin to flow towards you. There is no delay in manifestation when your frequency is coherent. The delay only exists when your state is fragmented. Your antenna becomes strongest when you choose internal order. When your thoughts, your emotions, your intention, and your identity align. This is why clarity is a magnet. This is why certainty is a power. When you stop doubting yourself, the field stops testing you. When you stop negotiating with fear, the universe stops slowing you down. When you stop asking for permission, the antenna becomes a bridge. You access the level of creation where manifestation is natural. There is nothing you have to prove to activate the antenna. You do not need perfect discipline. You do not need a flawless past. You do not need approval. You only need honesty. You only need to remove the interference. You only need to step into the frequency of the version of you that already exists. The antenna does not connect you to the dream. It connects you to the timeline where the dream is already real. There is a shift that happens when you begin to live through the antenna. Your thinking changes, your intuition becomes sharper, you feel energy in situations, you sense direction without needing evidence. You hear whispers of truth before they become physical. You become guided instead of reactive. You become aligned instead of confused. You become connected instead of lost. The cosmic antenna is not mystical, it is mechanical. It is a process governed by the laws of resonance, attention, frequency, and intention. It is the direct communication channel between your consciousness and the infinite. When you understand this, you no longer wait for signs. You recognize that your entire life is a sign. You no longer hope for guidance. You become guidance. Close your eyes and breathe. Feel your inner field expand. Notice the space between your thoughts. Notice how your awareness sharpens when the noise dissolves. That silence is intelligence. That stillness is signal. When you listen through the antenna, the field responds with precision. The universe is not distant, it is interactive. It is wired to your consciousness. The cosmic antenna is your proof. You are never disconnected from your highest path. You only need to tune your frequency. When you do, manifestation stops being a mystery. It becomes communication. The field is always speaking. The question is no longer will the universe respond. The real question is, are you transmitting the signal that matches the reality you want to enter? As long as you ask life for permission, you will always live beneath your power. Asking is the language of the old identity. Command is the language of the awakened self. One belongs to fear, the other belongs to sovereignty. One assumes conditions must change first, the other recognizes that conditions change only after the internal command has been issued. The universe does not respond to begging. It does not respond to pleading. It does not respond to hope. These are the signals of a consciousness that believes it is separate from the field. These are the frequencies of someone who still sees themselves as a passenger in their own story. When you ask, you acknowledge a hierarchy. You position the world above you. You place your destiny in someone else's hands. The field does not listen to questions. It responds to commands. Command is not force. Command is clarity. Command is the moment your identity aligns with the destiny that has been waiting for you. When you command, you are not pulling something from the world. You are activating something that already exists within you. The path is never created after the command. It is revealed because of the command. There is a reason you feel a shift whenever you stop asking the universe to give you a sign and instead declare that you are ready. That moment is the collapse of the powerless self. That moment is the rise of the sovereign identity. The field recognizes certainty. It recognizes leadership. It recognizes the frequency of someone who knows that they are not here to wait. Every sacred tradition understood the difference between asking and commanding. The ancient mystics did not wait for permission to enter the next level of reality. They were trained to speak from the identity of the one who was already there. The warrior does not ask the mountain for a path. He commands his steps. The navigator does not ask the sea for calm waters. She commands her direction. The initiation into mastery has always been the same. You do not ask, you command. The world teaches you to negotiate with your desires. It asks you to be patient. It asks you to be realistic. It tells you to wait until conditions improve. But the field is not built around realism or patience. It is built around resonance. It is built around alignment. When you command reality from the identity of someone who already owns that future, the field begins to move in your favor. Command does not mean aggression. It means embodiment. You embody the version of yourself that your destiny requires. You embody the frequency of someone who no longer asks if they are allowed to receive. The field is not a gatekeeper. It is a mirror. It reflects the authority of your inner world. There is a trap that many fall into. They speak their desires like requests. They phrase their dreams like questions. They wait for signs that they have been chosen. The truth is that no sign will ever come while you remain in that state. Asking carries the vibration of distance. Command carries the vibration of inevitability. When you ask, you wait. When you command, you lead. Every timeline responds to leadership. Every reality responds to conviction. Every outcome is shaped by the power of your declaration. Once you learn this, you stop waiting for external permission. The new identity is not created by proof. It is created by decision. The command comes first. The proof follows. You will notice the shift in your body when you move from asking to commanding. The uncertainty dissolves. The mind becomes still. The emotional field becomes coherent. That coherence is what the universe mirrors. The field is coded to obey certainty. It is coded to obey identity. It does not respond to desire alone. It responds to the frequency of someone who knows they deserve what they are commanding. The moment you understand this, you begin to speak differently. You begin to think differently. You begin to act differently. You do not wake up hoping reality changes. You wake up creating it. You do not wait for opportunities. You summon them. You do not fight for your destiny. You embody it. Command is not louder than asking. It is quieter. It carries no desperation. It carries no attachment. It carries no doubt. The most powerful commands are done in silence. The moment you align your command with the field, the universe has no choice but to respond. Not because it is serving you, because it is you. The field is not separate from your consciousness. It is an extension of it. There is a point in every transformation where you must stop looking for guidance and start issuing direction. You do not wait for proof that the path exists. You choose it. And as soon as you choose it, the path becomes physical. The roads, the people, the opportunities, the experiences all begin to reorganize themselves around your command. That is the law that governs this universe. The most powerful creators do not ask for outcomes. They declare outcomes. They do not ask the field for abundance. They command the identity of someone who is abundant. They do not ask for clarity. They become clarity. They do not ask for the future. They command their alignment with the version of themselves that is already living it. Asking is a symptom of the powerless self. Command is the language of the true self. When you rise into your true self, the world begins to rearrange itself around your frequency. This is why manifestations arrive faster for some and slower for others. It is not luck. It is not privilege. It is identity. Command is not a technique. It is a standard. It is a declaration that you will no longer abandon your destiny. You will no longer negotiate with your highest path. You will no longer silence the part of you that knows what you are meant to become. Close your eyes and look at the moments in your life where you stepped into a new reality. You did not ask life for permission. You commanded the shift. You walked away. You chose yourself. You changed direction. You spoke your truth. These were not accidents. They were activation points. Your antenna tuned into a higher identity and the field complied. From this moment forward, speak to your reality the way a creator speaks to matter. Do not ask for change. Issue the command. Do not ask for signs. Issue the direction. Do not ask for permission. Stand in your sovereignty. The universe responds not to those who wait, but to those who lead. You are not here to request a new life. You are here to declare it. You do not ask, you command. Reality is not solid. It is filtered. It is interpreted. It is shaped by the lens through which you have been taught to see. Most people never question the lens. They question only the world they see through it. They try to change the circumstance instead of the perception. They try to adjust the mirror instead of the face standing in front of it. This is the trap. The veil of perception is not wrapped around the world. It is wrapped around your identity. There is a truth that ancient mystics carried long before science could describe it. What you see is not what is. What you see is what you expect. The brain does not show you reality. It shows you a version of reality that aligns with your beliefs. The mind edits out the possibilities that do not match your identity. It hides opportunities that demand a higher version of you. It filters the world through past conditioning. The veil of perception always protects the old self. It keeps you attached to the familiar. It keeps you loyal to what was. The field does not hide your next timeline. Your perception does. You walk past the very thing you have been asking for, not because it is missing, but because your mind has not allowed you to see it. Destiny stands in front of you waiting. But the veil convinces you that the world is fixed, that your circumstances are concrete, that your path is limited. The veil is the illusion of separation. There are 7 primary veils that shape perception. The veil of limitation tells you what is possible. The veil of past identity tells you who you are allowed to become. The veil of unworthiness convinces you that you must earn what is already yours. The veil of scarcity teaches you that there is never enough. The veil of time convinces you that manifestation is slow. The veil of logic insists that only the physical matters. The veil of fear keeps you loyal to the world you have outgrown. Remove just one of these veils and the world changes shape. Remove them all and reality becomes fluid. The field becomes visible. The future becomes accessible. Your vision becomes clear. The world was never the prison. The perception was. There is a reason your life changes when your awareness shifts. Nothing in the external world needs to move. Only your perception does. When the veil lifts, clarity replaces doubt. Possibility replaces limitation. Synchronicity replaces coincidence. The shift is internal. The transformation is silent. The veil evaporates the moment you stop relating to life through the old identity. Imagine a traveler who has lived his entire life in a valley covered in fog. Each morning the world appears grey. The mountains look distant. The path seems narrow. He believes the grey is normal. He believes the fog defines the world. One morning a gust of wind clears the air and he sees the truth. There were never walls. The valley was not small. The horizon was vast. The fog did not reveal the world. It concealed it. Your perception is the fog. Your identity is the wind. This is why your life feels small when your mind is operating from fear. Fear has a single goal: to convince you that your world is small, to convince you that your potential is far away. Fear keeps the veil in place. It convinces you that you are safer in limitation than in possibility. But there is a moment in every awakening where the veil begins to tear. You stop believing the story of fear. You stop believing the illusion of limitation. You begin to see the field instead of the circumstance. The veil of perception hides truth through attention. Whatever you focus on becomes your world. If you focus on doubt, you find doubt. If you focus on opportunity, you find opportunity. If you focus on the impossible, the mind creates distance. If you focus on the inevitable, the field responds. The veil is maintained by attention. The veil dissolves when attention shifts. The moment you look at reality without the lens of the old self, you see how fluid your life always was. You see how possibility was always surrounding you. You see how every closed door was just perception. You realize that the universe never stopped signaling you. You simply could not see through the fog. The veil is also maintained through stories. The story of who you think you are. The story of what you think you deserve. The story of where you believe your limits exist. These stories are not facts. They are memories. They are conclusions drawn from past versions of you. The moment you question the story, you tear the veil. The moment you release the belief, you see the world through a higher frequency. You do not need to force the veil to fall. You only need to outgrow it. Your identity dissolves the illusion. Your awareness lifts the fog. Your frequency tears apart the old perception. The world you see when you shift your perception is the world that has been waiting for you all along. Look at any moment when your life changed. It did not begin with the circumstance. It began with the shift in your perception. You saw possibility where you once saw limitation. You saw a path where you once saw a wall. You saw a new identity where you once saw the old self. That is the veil dissolving. That is awakening. When the veil lifts, you begin to understand something essential. Reality was never fixed. It was responding to the lens you held. The field is always reflecting your state. It is always mirroring your identity. The universe is neutral. Your perception interprets it. You can only receive the version of life that matches the identity you hold. The veil of perception is the final barrier before sovereignty. Once you see the illusion, you cannot go back. Once you see the mechanism, you cannot be controlled by it. The veil becomes transparent when you choose clarity instead of habit, when you choose creation instead of reaction, when you choose identity instead of fear. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of the life you want. Notice how the mind tries to justify why it is impossible. That is the veil protecting the old story. But now pull that vision into your body. Feel it as if it is already real. The veil weakens. The possibility becomes tangible. The identity shifts. The fog clears. This is the field. The veil does not dissolve because the universe changes. It dissolves because you do. When you rise into a higher state of awareness, the world reorganizes itself. The field aligns. The path becomes visible. The future becomes clear. The reality you once thought was impossible becomes the reality you walk into. The veil of perception is the last illusion of the small self. Once it falls, you see the truth. The world is not happening to you. The world is responding to you. The veil was never the limitation. The veil was the teacher. It existed only until you outgrew it. Sovereignty is not power over others. It is power over your own reality. It is the moment you remove the final illusion that someone or something must grant you permission to evolve. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for approval, waiting for validation, waiting for the right moment, waiting for signs, waiting for courage, waiting for certainty. They wait for a doorway to open without realizing it opens only from the inside. Sovereign permission is the moment you reclaim the authority that was always yours. It is the moment you stop looking for an external yes and give yourself the internal one. No one can give you permission to become who you truly are. No teacher, no spiritual leader, no circumstance, no destiny. The only permission that ever mattered is the one you grant yourself. The field does not require your worthiness. The field requires your decision. Permission is not something the universe hands out. It is something you embody. When you declare yourself ready, the field recognizes your frequency. It does not ask if you deserve the next level. It responds to whether you are aligned with it. The universe mirrors your authority, not your doubt. There is a deeper truth that most never realize. Every limitation that kept you small was built from borrowed permission. The voices of family, the expectations of society, the stories of fear, the belief systems you inherited, these were never your own. Someone told you what your limits were. Someone decided what was possible for you. Someone defined your identity before you had the chance to do it yourself. Sovereign permission dissolves those inherited boundaries. When you grant yourself permission, you take back the authority that was taken from you long before you became aware of it. You are no longer the subject of life. You become the architect of it. You no longer ask if you are allowed to claim the path. You claim the path and the world adjusts. The universe does not shrink or expand based on external permission. It expands based on your level of self-permission. The moment you say, I choose this timeline, I choose this identity, I choose this evolution, the field begins rearranging itself. Not because you asked, but because you have declared the command from a sovereign identity. Look at every turning point in your life. None of them began with someone granting you permission. They began when you decided to step forward, when you left situations that did not honor you, when you spoke your truth, when you walked away from versions of life that dimmed your power. Sovereign permission was already operating in you even before you had a name for it. There is a moment when asking stops working, the universe stops responding to the frequency of request, not because it is ignoring you, but because you have already outgrown that level of creation. The field is waiting for you to rise into the frequency of command. Permission at this level is internal. It is silent. It is absolute. Sovereign permission is not arrogance. It is alignment. You do not claim power over others. You claim the power over your path. You do not dominate. You direct. You do not force the world. You tune yourself to the frequency where the world responds. This is the essence of sovereignty. The recognition that reality does not decide for you. It reflects you. There is a fear that comes with stepping into sovereign authority. The fear of being wrong. The fear of failing. The fear of judgment. These fears are the last gatekeepers of the old self. They ask you to hesitate. They demand that you wait for safety. But sovereign permission requires you to move even when the fear is loud, because the command of your soul speaks louder. When you hold back from claiming your next level, life does not hold back because it is not ready for you. Life holds back because you are not ready for yourself. The signal is always internal. The moment you say, I allow myself to step forward, I allow myself to receive, I allow myself to evolve, reality changes. The universe does not reward hesitation, it rewards embodiment. When you permit yourself to rise, you become the version of yourself that no longer negotiates with limitation. The field does not respond to the one who hopes. It responds to the one who embodies. You do not step into destiny by asking for permission. You step into destiny by authorizing your own evolution. There is a sacred shift that happens when you grant yourself this permission. Your language changes, your decisions change, your boundaries change. You stop choosing based on fear and start choosing based on identity. You stop protecting the old self and begin expanding the new one. Permission is not a gate, it is a frequency. It is the vibration of someone who does not wait for life to validate their worth. They recognize their worth as the foundation of their command. The field responds instantly to this level of authority. The next timeline reveals itself. Opportunities move toward you. You stop questioning whether you deserve and begin acting from the truth that you do. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice how different your body feels when you ask for permission compared to when you declare it. The first feels like shrinking. The second feels like expansion. The first feels like seeking. The second feels like remembering. You are not becoming worthy. You are remembering the authority you already had. Sovereign permission is the moment you break the cycle of waiting. The moment you step out of the illusion that your destiny is held by others. The moment you stop living as a reaction and begin living as a command. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose. The field does not ask if you are certain enough. It only asks if you are aligned. And alignment begins with permission. The permission to let go of the past. The permission to walk into the unknown. The permission to claim the identity that has been waiting for you. The permission to become the version of yourself that no longer doubts their own power. Nothing changes until you grant yourself this permission. Not because the universe is testing you, but because the universe mirrors you. When you declare your sovereignty, reality reorganizes itself. The world expands to match your identity. The path becomes clear. The next level becomes inevitable. Sovereign permission is the key to every door you were waiting for someone else to open. The truth is, they were never locked. They were waiting for you to walk through. Reality is always listening. Reality is always reflecting. Reality is always showing you the truth of your internal state. The world around you is not a random sequence of events. It is a mirror. It reveals not your circumstances, but your consciousness. It reflects not your desires, but your identity. Every result in your life is an echo of your frequency. People misunderstand this law. They believe reality is fixed. They believe situations are happening to them. They believe life is unpredictable. But reality is never external first. It begins inside. The world is a projection of the self. The situations you attract, the relationships you encounter, the opportunities or barriers you face, all of them reflect the state of your inner world. The universe does not hide truth from you. It shows it to you through the mirror of your experience. Whenever something repeats in your life, a pattern, a struggle, a limitation, a blockage, it is not punishment, it is feedback. Reality mirrors your subconscious. It reflects your beliefs. It reveals your wounds. It exposes your doubts. The mirror is not the enemy, it is the teacher. If you want to know who you are becoming, do not look at your intentions, look at your results. The mirror shows what your beliefs command. It does not lie, it does not distort, it does not argue, it only reflects. This is why change never begins by fixing the world. It begins by changing the signal you send into the world. The field does not respond to your hopes. It responds to your vibration. It responds to the energy behind your actions. It responds to the identity you inhabit. When your identity shifts, the mirror shifts. When your frequency rises, the world expands. There is a moment in every transformation when the mirror becomes uncomfortable. You begin to see the old self reflected back at you. You see the fears, you see the patterns, you see the version of yourself you can no longer pretend belongs to you. Most people run from this reflection. They blame circumstances, they blame fate, they blame timing, they blame the world. The awakened ones face the mirror. They do not fear the reflection. They use it. A mirror never shows you who you should be. It shows you who you currently are. It gives you a chance to decide again. When you understand this law, you stop reacting to life and you start reading it. You begin to see every event as communication. You begin to see every challenge as calibration. The world becomes a feedback loop. The mirror becomes your compass. The most powerful truth about reality is this: it will not change until you do. Not because you must prove anything, but because the mirror cannot reflect what you do not yet embody. The relationship you want cannot arrive while you hold the identity of someone who doubts it. The abundance you seek cannot appear while you embody scarcity. The breakthrough cannot manifest while you stand in hesitation. Your life is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for you to shift identity. The mirror also reveals something most people overlook. The world does not show you how others see you. It shows you how you see yourself. If you expect rejection, you find it. If you expect opportunity, you find it. If you expect failure, life echoes it. If you expect expansion, the field opens. Reality is neutral. You give it meaning. You assign the story. You write the narrative. Your perception does not describe reality. It creates it. There is a sacred moment when the mirror stops showing limitation and starts showing possibility. It happens when you choose clarity over fear. It happens when you stop settling for the old identity. It happens when you recognize that the world is not reflecting your fate. It is reflecting your level of consciousness. Close your eyes and look back at any moment of growth. You did not change because life changed. Life changed because you did. The mirror shifted because your frequency shifted. Destiny moved because you moved first. Every breakthrough in your life began the moment you stopped believing the reflection and started transforming the one who was looking into it. That is the moment the mirror becomes a doorway. The reflection turns from a reminder of who you were into a signal of who you are becoming. You start to understand a deeper truth. The world does not show you your limits. It shows you your edges. And the edges are not walls. They are invitations. Invitations to evolve, invitations to expand, invitations to step forward. The mirror of reality is not passive. It is active. It is interactive. It is responsive. The field responds to your frequency in real time. Change the signal, change the reflection, change the identity, change the world. When you walk into a higher version of yourself, the mirror reflects it. When you command a new timeline, the mirror projects it. When you claim a sovereign identity, the mirror confirms it. The universe does not decide your path. It reflects your decision. There is one more truth. The mirror is not separate from you. It is you. The reality you see is the reality you generate. The world does not show you life. It shows you consciousness becoming form. When you understand this, you stop resisting reality. You start shaping it. You stop asking for changes. You embody them. You stop looking at the mirror for truth. You look to the mirror for direction. The awakened ones do not wait for evidence. They create it. They do not wait for the reflection. They become the cause. The world shifts because they shift. The timeline opens because they open. The mirror responds because their identity commands it. Reality is not the test. It is the reflection. What you see is who you are becoming. And the moment you change the one who stands before the mirror, the world has no choice but to change with you. The universe does not move until you move. Not because it needs instruction, but because it is structured to respond to certainty. This is the law of the Greenlight. The moment your frequency aligns with the identity of someone who has already chosen the path, reality accelerates. The cosmic signal turns from red to green. Possibility transforms into inevitability. The field reacts not to desire, but to decision. The green light is not external. It is internal. People wait their entire lives for a sign. They wait for conditions to improve. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for proof. They wait for clarity. But waiting is the vibration of red. Waiting is the frequency of hesitation. Waiting keeps the universe inactive. Nothing expands when you hesitate. The green light switches on only when your identity says go. The law of the green light teaches a simple truth. Reality does not respond to wishes. Reality responds to the point of no return. The moment you step forward with conviction, the unseen forces begin assembling everything required to support your movement. Doors open, paths reveal themselves, people appear, timing aligns. These events were never absent. They were always waiting for you to activate the green light frequency. The old identity begs for a signal from the world. The awakened identity gives the signal to the world. The shift is subtle but absolute. You stop asking, you start commanding. You stop waiting for permission. You authorize your own evolution. The green light does not appear before you move. It appears because you move. There is a physics to this law. Your consciousness generates momentum in the field. When you declare your next identity as certain, your energy collapses possibilities into form. The future stops being a distant maybe and becomes the only outcome available. Quantum reality does not wait for evidence to align. It aligns because the command has been issued. Look at every turning point in your life. The breakthrough never happened while you were hesitating. It happened when you crossed the line of commitment, when you said enough, when you stopped negotiating with fear, when you stepped into the timeline that demanded your evolution. The universe responded because you shifted your frequency first. The green light is activated by 4 components: decision, identity, alignment, movement. Decision is the moment you say, "This is the path." Identity is the frequency you embody. Alignment is the vibration that removes internal conflict. Movement is the signal the field recognizes. When these 4 elements fuse, resistance collapses. The universe no longer delays your path, it accelerates it. Most people misuse this law because they expect the green light to appear while still thinking like the old identity. They want evidence before commitment. They want the path before the step. They want results before embodiment. But the universe does not work that way. The green light is not awarded to those who wait. It is awarded to those who lead. The law of the green light is the universal mechanism that obeys sovereignty. When you stand in hesitation, the field mirrors delay. When you stand in certainty, the field mirrors acceleration. This is why some people experience quantum shifts while others repeat the same cycles. It is not fate, it is frequency. When your command is weak, the energy around you becomes static. Opportunities feel far away. Progress feels slow. The world feels unpredictable. But when your command is strong, the path becomes clear. Synchronicity appears. Timing becomes perfect. The universe looks as though it reorganizes itself around your direction. In truth, it does. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of something you want to create. Notice the thoughts that appear. Notice the hesitation. Notice the doubt. These are the internal red lights. The green light is the moment you switch your attention from possibility to certainty, from thinking to choosing, from waiting to moving. The green light is not about speed. It is about clarity. When you are aligned, movement feels effortless. Momentum feels natural. Resistance dissolves. This law is always operating. The question is, which version of it are you activating? There is a deeper layer to the green light. It also determines the flow of timelines. Every timeline has an entry point. It never appears while you are undecided. It materializes only when you step onto it. When you hesitate, you are standing between timelines. When you command, you merge with one. The law of the green light reveals something powerful. The universe is not the gatekeeper. You are. The field is not choosing for you. It is waiting for your signal. The moment you emit the frequency of the new identity, the green light appears. The moment you embody certainty, the path accelerates. When you live from the law of the green light, you stop waiting for life to prove you are ready. You activate readiness. You stop hoping for the right moment. You recognize you create the moment. You stop chasing the path. You realize the path meets you. The shift from red to green happens in an instant. A single decision, a single declaration, a single breath where you choose destiny over doubt, when you choose movement over fear, when you choose identity over hesitation. The green light is the universe saying yes because you said yes first. It is the moment reality obeys your command. It is the moment the field responds to your sovereignty. It is the moment your timeline activates, and it does not come from outside. It comes from within. The green light is not permission. It is power. It is not a sign. It is a signal. It is not a reward. It is a reflection of who you have become. The universe does not delay. It waits. It listens. It mirrors. The law of the green light is always in effect. The only question is whether you are sending the frequency of stop or go. The path that changes your life is never visible at the beginning. The unknown is not a barrier. It is the bridge. The most powerful journeys do not start with clarity. They start with movement into the unseen. You step forward before you understand how the story ends. You walk toward the future before the path reveals itself. This is where most people hesitate. They want certainty before they move. They want a map before they begin. But destiny has never obeyed those rules. The unseen is the territory where your transformation begins. The bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be is not built out of logic. It is built out of intuition. It is built out of willingness. It is built out of identity. When you walk into the unseen, you activate a part of yourself that remains dormant in comfort. You access a level of awareness that only appears when you are no longer clinging to the known. The unseen is not empty. It is a living intelligence waiting for your signal. Every breakthrough in your life came from this place. It did not come from certainty. It came from trust. It came from a moment when something inside you whispered, "Move," even though you had no proof. That whisper is not your imagination. It is the field. It is the version of you that already crossed the bridge calling you forward. The unseen is the realm where reality is made before it becomes physical. The world has taught you to fear the unknown. It has conditioned you to believe that what you cannot see is a threat. But the unseen is not the enemy. It is the birthplace of the future. When you choose to walk into it, you stop being controlled by circumstance. You stop being controlled by fear. You stop being controlled by the past. You step into the realm where potential becomes actual. There is a universal law that governs this bridge. The path does not reveal itself to those who wait. It reveals itself to those who move. The unseen responds to momentum. The field reacts to intention. The moment you step forward, invisible forces begin to shift. The pieces of your life rearrange. The events align. Synchronicity starts organizing itself around you, not because the world changed, but because you changed your relationship with the unknown. The bridge through the unseen is not crossed by force. It is crossed by surrender. The old identity wants to hold on to control. It wants to predict every outcome. It wants to protect itself from uncertainty. But the unseen does not follow the rules of control. It follows the rules of resonance. When you release the need to know how everything will unfold, the unseen becomes visible. The next step reveals itself. The next answer appears. The universe begins to respond with precision. Look back at the greatest moments of change in your life. They never came with a guarantee. They came with a risk. You left something behind. You took a step that did not make sense at the time. You walked into the unseen because something deeper was guiding you. And every time you did, life rewarded you, not because you were lucky, but because you crossed the bridge. The unknown is not darkness. It is information you have not yet accessed. It is possibility waiting to become form. It is the level of reality where your future self already exists. When you walk into the unseen, you connect with that version. You merge with the identity that has already lived, the timeline you desire. You align with the self that already crossed the bridge. There is a reason some people move faster in life. They do not wait for the world to reveal the path. They choose the path and allow the world to catch up. They do not need certainty. They need alignment. They navigate by intuition instead of fear. They trust their inner signal more than external validation. They understand that the unseen is not a void. It is guidance. The bridge is built step by step. It does not appear fully formed. The first step is always the hardest because it interrupts the logic of the old self. The unknown demands courage. It demands presence. It demands identity. When you step onto the bridge, the old timeline begins to collapse. The old patterns dissolve. The old limitations fall away. You can feel the shift in your body. You can feel the pull forward. That pull is the signal that the bridge is real. The unseen reveals its secrets only to those who walk. It does not reward hesitation. It does not respond to fear. It responds to the frequency of someone who has decided, someone who has claimed their evolution, someone who understands that the unknown is not uncertainty, it is destiny in disguise. There is a moment when the unseen stops being frightening. It becomes familiar. You begin to trust it. You begin to feel supported by it. You realize that it has always been guiding you. Every coincidence, every intuition, every impulse. These were messages from the unseen. The field was always speaking. You simply had to walk toward it. Close your eyes and feel the part of you that knows you are being called forward. That voice is not your imagination. It is your future self reaching back through the timeline to pull you across the bridge. The unseen is not far away. It is right in front of you. It is the next step you have been avoiding. It is the decision you already know you need to make. The bridge through the unseen is the initiation into your next level of reality. You cross it not by waiting for signs, but by becoming the sign. You cross it not by predicting the future, but by embodying the identity that creates it. You cross it when you choose alignment over fear, when you choose destiny over comfort, when you choose movement over hesitation. You are not walking into darkness, you are walking into yourself. And once you take that step, the unseen stops being unseen. The path becomes visible. The timeline activates. The future becomes real. The only question that remains is whether you will step onto the bridge. The unseen is waiting for you. Emotion is not a reaction. Emotion is the catalyst that transforms thought into reality. It is the chemistry between the invisible and the physical. It is the signal your consciousness sends into the field to organize matter around your intention. The universe does not read your words, it reads your emotional frequency. Every manifestation begins with emotion before it ever becomes a circumstance. People have been taught to mistrust their emotions, to silence them, to ignore them, to treat them as distractions. But emotion is the most advanced technology you possess. It is the language the field responds to. When you feel something with clarity and conviction, you activate a chain reaction in your reality. Emotion is the currency of creation. There is a pattern that exists in every transformation. Before a breakthrough arrives, emotion shifts. You begin to feel a change in your inner world before anything in the physical world moves. You feel the restlessness. You feel the pull. You feel the discomfort. You feel the expansion. Emotion is always the first sign that your consciousness has evolved. It is the signal that your timeline is changing. Most people try to change their lives by forcing action. But action without emotional alignment is powerless. Emotion is the invisible architecture behind every outcome. It is the divine chemistry that turns thought into matter. The field mirrors the emotional charge behind your decisions. If your emotions are guided by fear, your reality mirrors fear. If your emotions are guided by confidence, your reality reflects confidence. The mistake is thinking emotion is something you must control. Emotion is something you must understand. Every emotion carries information. Fear reveals where you have given your power away. Desire reveals where your destiny is calling you. Resistance reveals where your identity must evolve. Emotion is guidance. When you listen to it, you move in alignment with the field. There is a sacred truth about emotion that most never learn. Emotion is not random. It is a precise frequency that communicates with the unseen world. When you feel joy, gratitude, certainty, your frequency harmonizes with the timeline where your desires already exist. You enter resonance with the reality you want to create. You collapse the future into the present. This is not metaphor. Emotion has its own physics. Every emotion produces a signature, a vibration, a wave of energy. This wave travels into the field and organizes matter. That is why two people can take the same action and get completely different results. One is aligned emotionally, the other is not. The universe responds to the inner signal first, the external action second. Most people misinterpret their emotions because they believe emotion is a reaction to life. But emotion is the instruction you send to life. It is the command that the field translates into form. The divine chemistry of emotion is the mechanism through which you access the infinite potential of your consciousness. When you master it, you stop living in reaction and start living in creation. Emotion also reveals your alignment. When you feel heaviness, it is not because life is wrong, it is because your direction is not matching your true identity. When you feel excitement, it is because your frequency is matching your destiny. When you feel anger, it is not a flaw, it is the signal that a boundary has been crossed. Emotion is truth, it does not lie. The old identity tries to suppress emotion because it fears the disruption it brings. But emotion is not the disruption, it is the correction. It is the intelligence of the higher self communicating through sensation. Emotion is the blueprint of your evolution. There is a moment when you stop resisting your emotions and start using them. That is the moment you become powerful. You no longer fear the intensity of your inner world. You harness it. You transform it into direction. You recognize that every emotion is a doorway, a gateway into the next version of yourself. Close your eyes and think of the times your life shifted. It did not begin when the world changed. It began when your emotional state changed, when you fell in love with the idea of a new life, when you felt the pain of staying where you did not belong, when you sensed the truth you could no longer deny. Emotion moved first. The universe followed. The divine chemistry of emotion is not about controlling your feelings. It is about directing your frequency. It is about choosing the emotions that align with the identity you want to embody. Gratitude, clarity, confidence, calm. These are not just states of mind. They are commands. They are signals to the field. They are the chemistry that turns the unseen into the seen. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion is creation. Emotion is manifestation. Emotion is the alchemy that turns desire into destiny. When you learn to generate the emotional frequency of your future self, you merge with the timeline where that future already exists. The moment you realize this, everything changes. You stop chasing outcomes. You create them. You stop waiting for evidence. You feel the evidence. You stop asking if your dream is possible. You embody the emotion of the version of you who has already lived it. The universe does not respond when you feel small. It responds when you feel inevitable. It responds when your emotions align with your command. It responds when your inner world speaks the truth of your destiny. Emotion is the bridge between thought and reality. It is the divine chemistry that turns belief into form. The field is always listening. The question is not whether your emotions are real. The question is whether they are aligned with the reality you want to create. The most powerful creators do not control emotion. They channel it, they direct it, they use it, because they know the truth. Emotion is the language of the universe. Emotion is the signature of the soul. Emotion is the code that rewrites reality. Receiving is not a passive act. It is the highest form of participation with the universe. It is the moment you shift from creating with force to creating with alignment. Most people know how to desire. Some know how to ask. A few know how to command. But very few ever learn the most important skill of all, the skill of receiving. The receiving state is not about getting something. It is about becoming someone who can hold what they have asked for. Because reality never withholds. It only mirrors the capacity of your inner world. You will never receive more than what your identity is prepared to maintain. You will never receive faster than the version of you that stands ready to claim it. Many believe they are waiting for the universe. The truth is, the universe is waiting for them. It is waiting for the moment you stop resisting what you asked for. It is waiting for the moment when your heart opens wider than your fear. It is waiting for the moment when you release the tension between desire and doubt. That moment is the receiving state. Receiving is not about effort. It is about surrender. It is the frequency of allowing. It is the energetic posture of someone who has already decided they deserve the outcome. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because they are aligned with it. The receiving state is the vibration of inevitability. There is a reason manifestation fails for those who chase their dreams with desperation. Desperation is the frequency of lack. It is the belief that what you want is separate from you. It is the vibration of fear. The receiving state does not chase. It magnetizes. It draws reality toward it because it contains no resistance. Most people think receiving is about getting more, but receiving is about holding more. It is about expanding your capacity. It is about becoming the version of yourself who can sustain the reality you are calling in. The universe will not send abundance to someone who is emotionally aligned with scarcity. It will not send love to someone who is aligned with rejection. It will not send opportunity to someone who is aligned with hesitation. Receiving begins with worthiness. The moment you believe you deserve what you are asking for, you have already stepped into the receiving state. Worthiness is not a feeling. It is a frequency. It is the vibration of someone who has stopped arguing with their destiny. The field responds instantly to worthiness. When you embody it, your reality changes. You walk into rooms differently. You speak differently. You take different risks. You become the version of yourself the universe has been waiting for. Receiving becomes natural because you are aligned with your truth. There is a sacred shift that occurs when you stop trying to control the outcome. Control is resistance. It is rooted in fear. It is the belief that the universe cannot deliver without your interference. But reality does not respond to pressure. It responds to coherence. It responds to the posture of someone who trusts the field. Trust is not hope. Trust is embodiment. It is the frequency of calm. It is the energetic signature of someone who knows the outcome is already written. They do not need proof. They are the proof. When you enter this frequency, the universe accelerates your timeline. The receiving state also requires openness. Many people ask for change but remain closed. They want the future to arrive in a form that feels familiar. They want opportunities that match their comfort. They want transformation without disruption. But receiving demands vulnerability. It demands flexibility. It demands that you allow the universe to deliver in ways you could not predict. The receiving state is the willingness to be surprised. It is the willingness to expand beyond the version of yourself you used to protect. It is the willingness to let go of control and step into flow. It is the moment you stop micromanaging your destiny and start collaborating with it. Close your eyes and think of a moment when something arrived in your life unexpectedly. You did not force it. You did not chase it. It showed up when you were aligned. That was the receiving state. It was not coincidence. It was coherence. Your emotions become quiet. Your mind becomes clear. Your intuition becomes louder than your fear. You step into a frequency that feels like guidance. You feel carried rather than driven. That is the signature of receiving. It is not passive. It is powerful. The receiving state is also the moment you release the need to earn what is already yours. You stop proving. You stop chasing approval. You stop performing for outcomes. You become the identity that magnetizes them. The field does not respond to struggle. It responds to embodiment. There is a misconception that receiving is the last step. The truth is, receiving is the entire process. The desire you feel is the universe communicating with you. The intuition you sense is the path opening. The emotion you experience is the chemistry forming. The identity you step into is the timeline activating. Receiving is the alignment of every layer of your consciousness with your destiny. You are not waiting for the universe to give you something. You are waiting for the internal shift that allows you to hold it. You are waiting for the version of you who can sustain abundance, who can trust love, who can lead with certainty, who can welcome opportunity without fear. The receiving state is presence. It is expansion. It is clarity. It is the moment you stop being the seeker and become the receiver. You feel different. You speak different. You act different. You think different. Life responds to that. The universe is always sending. The field is always broadcasting. The future is always calling. The question is whether you are in the state that can receive it. When you embody the receiving state, reality reorganizes itself around your identity. The things you once chased begin to chase you. The opportunities you once waited for begin to meet you. The timeline you once hoped for begins to unfold, not because you asked, because you became the version of yourself who could receive. Receivers do not wait, they attract. Receivers do not fear, they allow. Receivers do not beg, they embody. The receiving state is the doorway into your next reality. Step into it, and the universe does not delay. It delivers. Creation was never something outside of you. It was never an ability that belonged only to the gifted or the chosen. It was never a miracle reserved for destiny. Creation has always been embedded in your nature. You are not a visitor in this universe. You are an extension of it. You are not a passenger of the field. You are the one who commands it. At the core of your existence lies the truth. Most people spend their entire lives forgetting you are the eternal creator. Every thought, every intention, every decision, every emotion, every identity you choose becomes a thread that weaves your reality. The future is not written somewhere far away waiting for you to arrive. You write it every moment with your frequency. The eternal creator does not wait for life to reveal possibilities. The eternal creator generates them. This is the moment when the illusion of separation ends. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying to make life work. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs guidance from the outside world. You stop believing you are being tested or judged by the universe. The field is not measuring you. It is mirroring you. Reality is not happening to you. Reality is happening because of you. There is a sacred moment in every awakening where you begin to see how much power you have always carried. You look back at your journey and realize that every shift, every breakthrough, every collapse, and every rebirth was not random. It was created by your inner world. It was activated by the identity you stepped into. It was initiated by the frequency of who you decided to become. Creation has never been about controlling circumstances. It has always been about embodying the cause. When your identity shifts, the field rearranges itself. When your consciousness expands, reality expands. When your vibration rises, the world responds. You have never been separate from creation because you are the source of it. The eternal creator is the version of you that does not negotiate with destiny. It does not wait for signs. It does not fear the unknown. It does not search for permission. It moves with a certainty that comes from remembering its origin. You were born with the architecture of creation built into your being. You were born with the ability to collapse timelines into form. You were born with the technology of consciousness. Most people look at their life and see limitations. They see obstacles. They see circumstances. But the eternal creator sees only possibility. The eternal creator sees only identity. It knows that nothing in this world can limit someone who has remembered their origin. And that origin is not the body. It is not the history. It is not the past. It is the field itself. There is a shift that happens when you step into this awareness. You no longer fear the future because you realize you are not walking into an unknown world. You are walking into a world you are creating. The timeline is not unfolding randomly. You are designing it. The field is not reacting to chance. It is responding to you. Close your eyes and imagine the version of yourself that no longer doubts their creative power. The version that no longer collapses under fear. The version that no longer waits for life to choose them. That version already exists. It is not a dream. It is a memory of your original consciousness. The eternal creator does not ask if it is possible. It decides what is possible. Creation is not a gift. It is a responsibility. It asks you to stop shrinking. It asks you to stop playing small. It asks you to recognize that your thoughts move energy. Your emotions shape matter. Your identity influences the structure of reality. You are not here to survive your story. You are here to write it. Every time you have a vision of a better life, that vision is not your imagination. It is a transmission from the field. It is a glimpse of a timeline where you have already succeeded. The eternal creator does not ignore these visions. It builds them. It steps into them. It embodies them. Creation is not about forcing outcomes. It is about becoming the version of yourself that has already created the outcome. The moment you choose that identity, reality has no choice but to shift. The field recognizes the frequency of the eternal creator and it responds. There is a reason your life accelerates when you step into alignment. You are no longer acting as someone separate from the universe. You are acting as the universe expressing itself through you. The eternal creator is not a future version of you. It is the truth of who you have always been beneath every layer of fear and conditioning. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are not here to stay in patterns. You are not here to inherit limitations. You are here to evolve consciousness. You are here to expand reality. You are here to write timelines that have never existed before. That is why your intuition pulls you forward. That is why your soul refuses to settle. That is why your life keeps calling you upward. Creation is the act of remembering. When you remember you are the source, life stops being random. You understand why things fall apart. You understand why things arrive. You understand why you have always been drawn to certain paths. Everything is communication with the field. The eternal creator lives by one truth. I am not separate from the universe. I am the architect of it. When you walk with this identity, nothing in the world has the power to diminish you. Nothing has the power to delay you. Nothing has the power to define you. You become the cause. You become the command. You become the consciousness that shapes the future. The eternal creator does not wait for miracles. It becomes the miracle. It does not wait for change. It becomes change. It does not wait for destiny. It becomes destiny. And the moment you accept this truth, you step into the highest frequency available in this universe. You were not born to follow the script of others. You were born to write your own. The field is ready. The timeline is open. The future is waiting for one thing only, for you to remember who you are. You are the eternal creator.